Hello and welcome to the video. My name's Robbie Bennett and
this is Eoin Lacey.
So the whole purpose of this today is we're going to start launching a new avenue of educational resources through our YouTube page, and our very first topic today is going to be on
improving you as a personal trainer in 2020.
So any of you coaches that are out there listening right now, you may have attended our courses before, you may not have, but Eoin, have you got any recommendations for coaches out there that are going to be very, very busy in the month of January, February, March with new clients coming in? Any tips on PT success?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of personal trainers and strength and conditioning coaches throughout the world. And one of the things that I find the very common trend on all of them is that they're all very busy and they're all very driven to educate themselves. But the problem is with this line of work, Robbie, you're starting in the morning, you might have split shifts, you're working late. If you run your own gym, you got some administration work on that end side of things, and your education falls down. And then guys get actually pissed off at themselves. They're not upskilling themselves on a regular basis. And then you see people on Instagram at courses and studying, and then people have that FOMO, fear of missing out on educating themselves. So what we're going to share today with you guys is how you can sustain yourself as a successful personal trainer, but also put together an educational plan for yourself throughout the whole year to maintain your education, to upskill yourself, to maybe diversify yourself into different avenues, or maybe expand your niche or refine your niche within the market. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what I call accelerated learning techniques.
And what exactly is accelerated learning techniques on?
Well, so for me, I'm a gym monkey. Like in school, I wasn't very academic, but I found I was very interested in certain topics. So when it came to nutrition or training or reading in that area, I didn't feel it was study, but it's always about giving yourself time. So for example, I'm a huge fan of Audible. So at this moment in time, I give myself a goal of reading 2 or listening to 2 books a week. And how I do that is I'm banned from listening to the radio in my car. So it takes me 30 minutes on average to get to the gym in the morning. Well, let's say this morning it was only 10 minutes because it was 5:30 in the morning. But most of the time you're talking about a 30-minute commute to work and from work. So that's an hour in the car every day. So the average Audible book out there is between 6 and 9 hours. So if you're getting an hour of study done every single day in the car, you'll soon realise that you get through a book easily once a week. And a few years ago now, maybe could be 15 years ago now, I did a course on visual information processing, and it was how to retain more information, understand it more, consolidate it more. But one of the things he talked about was increasing the speed of listening to stuff. So on Audible, you can go up to as fast as 3.0. Now for a lot of people that might sound like gibberish to a lot of you, but there's no reason why you couldn't get a book you've already listened to and put it at 1.5 or 1.25 and start to train yourself to listen to the information that little bit faster. And a lot of the books you're going to be studying will be nutrition, training, business or mindset. So they're all saying some very similar things, but the 20% that's unusual or unique, you can stop, you can pause, you can make notes. But one of the biggest things I get the guys to do is to make sure that every single day you're getting busy, getting better. And one of those things is make sure you're studying on a regular basis. I do like Audible, so my goal every week is to get through 2 books at least a week, and then when I'm away on holidays I might get a few more books in. The second thing I like to do is what's called habit stacking. So habit stacking is where you put 2 habits together, one that you do on a daily basis anyway, and a second one that you want to incorporate into your week. So for example, I try to get 1 sauna in once a week for regeneration and recovery. During that sauna or hour session, I do 20 minutes on mobility. And during the 20 minutes on mobility, whether it be with a fascial gun, whether it be with a trigger point or a foam roller, I'm watching a podcast or I'm watching an online course on my iPad while I'm doing that. And then I do a little bit of cardio to get a sweat up before I get into the sauna, and I put the iPad outside the door in the sauna and listen to it. So what I'm doing there is I'm getting an online course or a podcast on the iPad when I'm doing my mobility and while I'm in the sauna. So 2 very effective ways of integrating education into your weekly routine. One of the issues that I have is we call it the Pomodoro effect. And the Pomodoro effect is where I'm a man, right? And after about 20 minutes, my brain starts to think about all sorts of stuff. Some rude stuff, not some rude stuff. Some stuff on training or nutrition, and going off. I go off tangents sometimes. But I like to at least focus on 20 minutes of doing some focus work. So maybe it's 60 minutes in total, but maybe every 20 minutes I'll stop, I'll write some notes on it, I might look at something different and go back to it again. And I like to call that cluster studying. So in the form of cluster training, where you do one heavy repetition, you take a few seconds break and go back to it again. We've all been in that situation where we're reading a book, Robbie, where you flick through a page and then go, what was that last page about? Your brain goes off. So with the cluster study, you go 20 minutes at a time, you focus on, you get some information out of it, and then you might change topic, you might listen to a song or something for 5 minutes, or do a stretch, or do some mobility, and go back at it again. Now, if you know it's only going to be 20 minutes, maybe you only have an opportunity to do 20 minutes, like you're doing in the car on the way home or the way to work. But if you've got an opportunity to do more, it'll be 3 individual sections of 20 minutes. And that break or that absence away from the study makes you refreshed to go back again. The next tip I have is in the gym. I like to call them Lacey's lessons, but I don't know whether that's taken on or not. So what I'll say to Robbie every time I see him in the gym, what have you been studying this week? And then Robbie will share a research paper he was reading, or maybe a conversation he had with Dr. Serrano, or maybe a book that he just finished. And why I find that so beneficial is when you share an information with somebody else, what it does is it consolidates that information in your brain. So for example, if I ask something, Robbie, about homocysteine, for example, when Robbie's explaining it to me, I might ask him what exactly homocysteine does and what's elevated in the blood and why can it be high.
Significance?
Exactly. So when you know that I could possibly ask or challenge you those questions, you actually study and learn the information around it so you can better explain it to me.
And why I think that's also important, Don, is if you can explain something, if you can't explain something simply, you probably don't understand it well enough. So as a coach and as a trainer, you need to be able to translate this important, and it is heavy information, but you need to translate it down to your clients, because when a client understands something, they're much more likely to actually comply with what you're asking them to do.
Fully agree. And one of the things I've always been a big fan of, I always try to narrow down my area of study. So when it comes to your field of study, whether it be strength conditioning, whether it be personal training, whether it be group training or nutrition or ketogenic diets, focus on one area. Don't try to be an expert in every field. You won't. You can understand the information from other fields, but by no means focus on being an expert there. So by doing your habit stacking, by doing your Pomodoro approach of 20 minutes at a time, by doing your sharing the information with somebody else, allows you to consolidate the information and retain it more.
So Eoin, you've given a lot of avenues there in terms of accelerated learning with the podcasting, with the Audible, and even some videos. So we will be posting much more videos on our YouTube channel as well, and then maybe some exercise tutorials, maybe nutrition, but just keep an eye on that scheme of things as well. You'll find that on the Instagram page as well. But have you got any recommendations regarding books on Audible that's a starting point for some of the listeners out there right now, or any podcasts that you would recommend?
To be completely honest with you, it all depends on the person. So one of the things I pride myself on, and I've been blessed and lucky enough to teach alongside Dr. Eric Serrano for a number of years, and Dr. Serrano is just, he's on a next level of information. But what I pride myself is trying to make complicated information easy to understand. So what I would say is, if you were to rank yourself, Robbie, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to training, if it comes to mobility or anatomy, rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. Yeah. And the ones that you're at a 3 or 2 on, that's the area you should focus on. So for the listeners out there, I'm not going to say this Ben Fields podcast or Ben Bukulski, or Mike Mutzel. They're all very good podcasts, but the podcast that's the best for you is the one that's most relevant to where your weak links are,
and also translatable to the clients you see.
That's it. So there's no point me, like I was chatting to a guy last night online, Glenn Stewart from Tasmania, New Zealand, and we were talking all about MMA. Now MMA conditioning may not appeal to any of the listeners out there, but the whole idea is to refine your area of study so you maximise your attention, but most importantly it translates into usability for the clients that you have in your facility, your gym, or the clients you're dealing with.
So as a coach in a gym, you've got a lot of tools there. Obviously we need to consider nutrition, we need to consider training, but what do you think may be variables of training some trainers may get wrong with their clients? And especially in the new year, a lot of new clients are joining gyms now, and they're seeing personal trainers, but Do you see if there's any roadblocks in program design, exercise selection, or even keeping your clients injury free?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. When it comes to roadblocks, let's liken this as to a car, Robbie. So let's say we're all in the car together. There's 5 of us in the car, and we're all going to a certain destination. The majority of destination that clients are looking for now, excuse me, is fat loss. So what's going to get them the fat loss goals they need? And I'll be honest with you, the biggest driving force I see a lot of people doing, or the person in the car that's doing the driving, is exercise. So if you were to train 5 days a week, 5 days a week is a lot for one of your clients to commit to training. It only represents 2.9% of the whole week. So you get 168 hours in a week. If you're going to train 5 hours a week, that only represents 2.9%.
So are you saying we need to train more?
No, I'm saying you need to train smarter for the person.
Okay.
But exercise isn't going to be the only one factor leading you forward. It's going to be nutrition. It's going to be sleep. It's going to be hydration. It's going to be lifestyle. So when a client comes into you, it is pivotally important that you focus the program and the whole plan around the person. How many P's can you get in one sentence there? So, so the point is, when a client comes into you, whether it be male or female, whether it's menopausal or the female is had a number of kids, it all changes how that person is going to travel towards their journey. So for example, let's say me and Robbie say we're going to go up to Seamus Fox up in Derry, great guy. We're going to drive up to him. That's a long journey. So how successful we are to get up to Derry is going to affect how well Robbie's car is running. But who knows what damage Robbie's car has had leading up to this journey. So when a client comes into you in 2020 in January to get into new shape, the road that person has led before they've come to you will hamper or accelerate their performance to get to their new goal. So nutrition, training, mobility, flexibility, diet history, medication, blood chemistry, all these things come into consideration. But unfortunately, if all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. So you just train them more. I had a quote there a few years ago that the guys seem to like is, just because you're sweating in the gym doesn't mean you're getting results. So a lot of people are not getting the results they deserve because they're following methods that their body can't adequately respond to. So the start of February 1st and 2nd, we're doing our brand new fat loss workshop, and during the workshop we're going to instill in the trainers attending an approach that allows them to design, whether it be a group training or an individual program for clients to make sure they get results. And I do believe, and all the guys out there counting calories, for majority of the population, it definitely works. For the majority of people, we get into Robbie's car, we drive from Dublin to Derry, no problem, we use X amount of fuel. But unfortunately, a lot of people's metabolisms, a lot of people's mitochondria, a lot of people's hormones, a lot of people's training ability or sleep or blood sugar management or stress levels are different. And their adaptation or their metabolisms are altered. There's an altered response. I know some people, Robbie, and you've seen them, that can eat carbs all day, every day, that can get away with eating huge amount of calories and have no problem. And the minute they cut calories, their weight drop weight. But for a lot of people coming to us, they've tried that.
So from my perspective, Eoin, if all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. So when we look at calories and macronutrient counting, of course these are important factors you need to consider, but you also need to take into consideration the person you see in front of you right now is not the same client that you've had an hour before that, or it's not the same client you're going to have an hour after that. So there needs to be other considerations, like looking at someone's blood sugar, looking at their hormonal status, looking at their age, looking at their stress levels. These are all factors that need to be taken into consideration, and independent of just calorie and macronutrient consumption.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think you should go too complicated too soon. Like Eric Elms has some great books, and one of the foundations of his pyramid is consistency, and I get that. But the problem is, some of these people are not going to be consistent, and they find calorie counting, and again, you don't have to be too precise and to the one around 100, 200 calorie tracking. It can be very accurate and very usable, but there's different models, different strokes for different folks. And during the fat loss weekend, we're going to give the guys a multitude of skills, so no matter what client comes to them, they have not only a structured approach but a guaranteed roadmap and template to, if they go off track, they can reroute themselves. Two things that we always need to know on the road to any success is, one, where your current client is, and two, the destination. So if you're going anywhere, you need to know where you're starting, you need to know the end point. And by going off route, it happens all the time. People have weekends off, they have weddings and holidays and so on, but we need to get them back on track. And by identifying key biomarkers, whether it be measurements or fluid or blood chemistry or strength levels or sleep or HRV, any one of these biomarkers, indicators of people's health, will allow you to get back on track as soon as possible.
So Eoin, could you just give a bit more information about the content you're going to cover on the Fat Loss Weekend regarding kind of the modules?
So one of the things that's quite a big topic now at the moment is fasting, intermittent fasting, AM, time restricted feeding, OMAD diet or water fasting. So we're going to go through what clients can use this strategy and how to personalize it. Second of all, a lot of times people, the major focus a lot of clients are coming in is for fat loss. And for fat loss to take place, there are certain biochemical pathways that need to take place. Mitochondrial health needs to be there, cell membrane needs to be there, sodium potassium balance needs to be there, carnitine levels need to be optimized, magnesium status needs to be high. So we're going to show the guys key physical examination techniques to identify issues in that area, or blood chemistry analysis to see how well the mitochondria is working and how well homeostasis and balance in the body. Then we're going to talk a lot about blood sugar management, going to talk a lot about optimization of relation to calorie intake, the carb cycling, to make sure people are getting the best results in the gym they can. So please realise that nobody in the world has ever got bigger, stronger or leaner in the gym. What happens in the gym is a stimulus, and that neuroendocrine axis allows the body to adapt, remodel, regenerate and recover from exercise. But a lot of people are training beyond their body's capability of recovery. So if we can increase your recovery, so let me paint this picture for you. Imagine your client woke up and they felt 100% recharged every single morning. That person that's 100% charged goes downstairs, has a great decision making on breakfast, has energy, showers, changes, goes to work, in their car, no stress. They can manage whatever stress throws at them on the way to work. They get into work and they're on flow. They're in the moment, they're making good decisions, their brain is functioning at 100%, they break, they have lunch, energy is quite high, they finish the day off, get all their work done, they leave the office, they're done. Then picture the other person that wakes up at a 4 out of 10, drags their ass out of bed, grabs something fast to eat because they're so sluggish, they've stayed a little bit longer in bed, they haven't had time to have breakfast. They go to work, everything is stressing them out. The smallest person cutting in front of you in traffic pisses you off. You get to work, you're dragging your ass through every meal, you're knocking nails at your meetings. Every email, every project you do is that little bit harder. These people make poor decisions. These people stay up later. These people don't exercise. So our goal in the Fat Loss Workshop is to give you, the trainer, a multitude of skills when it comes to lifestyle, when it comes to sleep medicine, nutrition, training, rehabilitation, hormonal balance, body composition, fitness and strength, so your client's resilience is higher to perform whatever tasks they have.
So Eoin, I believe there's also a practical component to the Fat Loss Weekend, so could you kind of explain what is covered on that, and does there need to be a baseline degree of physical strength to attend a fat loss or fitness?
No, this is the tour fat loss. This is the tour different fat loss course we've run, and I'm a big fan of trying to keep it about 50% theory, 50% practical. Now sometimes I might go more towards 60 or 70% theory, 30% practical, but there is a big practical component in it. And the reason why I do the practical component, because I want trainers to experience the stimulus that is caused on the body during the training stimulus, whether it be energy system training, whether it be isometric work or body composition training or body part training or mobility. Trainers, need to feel the sensation so they know how to elicit the same response to adaptation from their clients. But I like to do that as a break. I like to do that as an instructional and coaching technique. And a lot of trainers won't sit in a classroom for 8 hours, and that's not what I want. I want to mix it up. There is no prerequisites for the course. It's ideal that you're in the industry a number of years, so you have a good base of information so you can retain it. However, we will be giving quite extensive notes and giving some support online afterwards. And what we'll do is, as we always do, is we answer people's questions, possibly even through the podcast or through the YouTube page. We can give some more information if guys do want to have more questions after the course.
Yeah, so lastly, just finishing up, for any of the listeners that are listening to this right now, if you do want to contact us, the best place to find us is on Instagram, and that's at ISI Health. So what you can do there is you can post any questions that you're looking to have answered into the podcast, but you can also post any inquiries regarding this Fat Loss Weekend. Again, The dates are the 1st and 2nd of February. So do pop us a message and we can give you much more details about that. But just kind of finishing up on any closing remarks.
Well, great, Robbie. Thanks for setting this up. What I would say, guys, is, and we used to have this in the gym wall, so every day get busy getting better. So if you want to be a better coach, you want to be a better trainer, you want to be a better husband, or want to be a better employee, Robbie, it starts off with little habits. So just get into a habit of studying every single day. Get into a habit of seeing what you can do to be a better coach. A few years ago, a sports psychologist assessed me doing a program with this gentleman, and he said, "Eoin, was that an excellent session?" And I said to him, "It was a good session." And he said, "No, Eoin, was it an excellent session?" I said, "No, it wasn't." He said, "What could you do to make it an excellent session?" And I listed off a number of things that I could have done to make it better. My question to you guys is, the last class you taught, the last training session you had with a PT client, was it excellent? And if it wasn't excellent, how could you make it excellent? Would it be a uniform, the gym music, a glass of water, a towel, a different program, a different fun, a bit of boxing at the end? Well, who knows what it could be? But we all have the capabilities and the potential of being better at our job. Now, am I going to tell you you need to come to our courses because it'll make you better? No, there's a lot of great courses out there from great people. What we are is we're open-minded, we have a growth mindset, and we constantly evolve our information, and we practice what we preach. All our gyms, all the trainers that we go through give us feedback, and we adapt things to suit the clients. But our goal is to give you the skill set so you can adapt the information to your clientele and make you a better coach in 2020.
So Eoin, I guess we will leave it at that. And guys, do stay tuned and do subscribe to our YouTube page, but we will be posting much more content much more regularly. And if you do have any kind of videos that you want us to do tips about, whether that be regarding exercise selection, program design, or specific programs you might have heard a little bit about and you want more information about, or even nutrition protocols, do send us some information on our ISI Health Instagram account and we will get around to it. But thanks for listening, guys. This is Robbie out, and
Happy New Year, guys. Have a great 2020.